All right, it is Rich Franklin. I mean, honestly, you really don't need an excuse to catch up with Rich Franklin, legend of the sport. But we do have a reason to talk because it's another back-to-back weekend. It's the return to Amazon Prime Video for ONE Championship. Rich, talk to me right now about the excitement level. I mean, last time it was the nerves, it was the debut, it was the first time. Now, I mean, we're just kind of getting into this partnership, right? So talk to me about how you're feeling right now.
Absolutely. You know, as a matter of fact, for Prime Video One, that was my first time back on commentary in, I want to say, at least a year, maybe a year and a half. So I was personally a little nervous, like, oh, I got to wrinkle out some of the irons here, or iron out some of the wrinkles. But no, you know, for the organization, it was a big change for us working with Prime on the event. And so now I wouldn't say we've quite hit stride yet, but we're excited because based on all the markers that we had for the first event, we've way exceeded what Prime Video thought we were going to bring to the table. So really happy with the performance of that one. The show went well, I think, from a production level, from a technical level, internally in the company. And I don't think I sounded too stupid personally on my commentary. So, you know, all is well. And so excited about the second one coming up here next week, man.
That's awesome. So you kind of touched on it, but I guess I just wanted to ask, like, what the feedback was, because I mean, from my perspective, just from a viewer's perspective, show streamed great. It looked great. I mean, it looked good on Prime Video. I mean, just, I don't know, everything seemed to work well. So I guess what was the feedback from all involved? It seemed like a win.
No, Prime was really happy with the event. They were happy top to bottom. And, you know, from our side, when I look at the event and how it came out production-wise, entertainment value, the stage was amazing. I think that's my favorite staging that we've ever done for the event to date. And so just everything was, for me, on point. Obviously, there are always improvements that we can make. We always internally go back and say, okay, we're going to work on this and fix this and things that we can do. But it was a well-done show.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I enjoyed it. All right, we'll get to that show because that'll be Friday night. Here in the United States, it'll be Thursday morning, the first of the two events, ONE 161.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a striker's delight type of show, right? I mean, you got a Muay Thai title on the line, but listen, Rich, I'm excited. The heavyweight kickboxing Grand Prix. I mean, you just got a bunch of just massive stud strikers, knockout artists. I just don't see, like, if people don't necessarily love mixed martial arts, they just love striking and they don't love the ground game. I mean, that ONE 161 card might be for you. There's a ton of striking on this one.
Absolutely. And particularly with the heavyweights, you know, we have Roman Crickley is on this card. I love watching this guy fight. And Guto is just a person that brings it every time that he's in the circle. So I don't look for that one to go the full five. And then obviously we have Iraj that's on this as well. And I love watching Iraj fight. I've not had my time yet to actually break down Bruno completely to see what, make my predictions on that fight. But nonetheless, like you're talking about this heavyweight Grand Prix, this is going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, just a bunch of big knockout artists, man. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But then, of course, we get into Friday night. That's what we're really focused on. U.S. prime time once again, ONE on Prime Video 2. The trilogy, right? Zhang Jingnan, Angela Lee. I mean, this is a historic trilogy, right, for ONE Championship. But it's just, I don't know if you're a fight fan, it's just a great fight, too. You look at the history between these two.
But is it a trilogy? Because think about this, right? Think about this. Angela she's running the atomweight class, right? And then she at one point says, you know what, I'm going to move up to strawweight and I'm going to take your title, Zhang. And then Zhang ends up beating her. And so, I don't know, was it 6-8 months later, something like that? Zhang says, you know what, I'm coming down to your weight class. I'm going to take your title. And so Angela beats her in her own weight class. So even though they're 1-1 and this is technically kind of a rubber match, it really isn't, because now Angela's like, now that she's had that year and a half off, she came back from that year and a half break. We ran the entire Grand Prix, the Atomweight Grand Prix around that. It was an amazing story. Angela kept the belt while she was pregnant. Actually, I recorded with her a podcast. I'm going to drop a podcast with her next week. And she got into talking about what it was actually like training postpartum and dealing with like her hormones and just everything, man. Like she talked about like getting hit in the chest for the first time after she gave birth while she was breastfeeding. And I'm just like, oh man. So what she came through, that fight was stamped, working through that body, that liver shot that she took and coming back from that. And I'll tell you what, she just seems like a woman on a mission. And so now she's like, I'm going back up. I'm coming back up to your weight class, Sean, and I'm taking your belt from you. So at this point in time, now that she's come back, she's super motivated. She's like, I'm fighting for my daughter. I'm making an example for her. She looked great in her return. And now she's got Zhang standing in front of her. But I'm telling you, on the other side, man, Zhang, she looks strong at that weight class. And the last time, Angela and I talked about this, like fading off a little bit, like what happened there. And so the question is that moving back up to straw weight and carrying that extra weight, is this going to be problematic for her? And Zhang has these heavy hands. So, and I'm sure she's done a lot of studying on what she needs to fix in order to beat Angela this time. But the outcome of this fight, like win or lose, does it mean that Zhang now returns back to atomweight to once again try to take Angela's belt from her? Like, where does this thing end, right?
It's so funny, right? Because they're both respectable. Their fights have been great. But it is funny. To me, it almost seems a little bit personal, even if they won't mention it. Because as you said, it's like, I'm going to your weight class, and I'm going to take your belt. How about that? I'm not just happy taking my belt. I'm coming to take yours as well.
Exactly. Well, Angela was talking about being the first mom. She did the hashtag mom champ champ. So she's like, I want to be the first mom double champ. So, I mean, she's definitely motivated for sure, man. But I mean, look, the rest of this card's awesome. We have Musumeci versus Sousa and our super grappling match. And, I'll tell you what, the Super Bond fight with Ty from Olskan, like I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the matchup, the way that those two guys move. Olskan likes to move and get on the inside and hit those combinations from the inside. And Super Bond does an amazing job of like negating and controlling that distance with his footwork and fighting backwards, like off that back leg. So that's going to be, I think, just from a stand-up perspective for kickboxing, it's going to be an awesome matchup. And really, man, this card is just stacked top to bottom. Like we got this new guy, Halil Amar, coming on, and he's fighting Timofey Nashjukin. I never get sick of watching Timofey fight. It doesn't matter. His the wars he's had with Dagi, the leg break that he had against Boku. And now you got this new guy coming on, and I've watched some films on this guy Halil, and he's like, he has a style that's very similar to Doggy, so I don't look for that one to go the distance either. Like, this is gonna be another amazing card with some awesome matchups, man.
I love it. I mean, we've talked offline, man. I love what you guys are doing with the different arts, and I did want to, you touched on it there, but the grappling world championship, right? I mean, how cool is that, right? Not only now are we just doing grappling matches, but now we're gonna have titles and championships. So I'm assuming, I mean, this is the first of many, not just one. I mean, this isn't just a special occasion. We're gonna do this in all the weight classes.
We don't have the plan set for all. Like, it's not like we have it all laid out yet, but that's obviously the vision, and so we're moving that direction. Especially now coming off of ADCC just happened recently, and there's just a lot of buzz and excitement around the grappling community, particularly with what ONE Championship is doing with grappling as well in the events. And, to date, and I've said this publicly, and I probably said this to you before, John, on interviews, that I wasn't a fan of throwing in the kickboxing and the Muay Thai and the grappling into these events. The first conversation we had was about Muay Thai. And I just thought, like, man, who wants to come to an MMA match and watch a Muay Thai fight? And now that we've done it, and we do our Muay Thai in these 4-ounce gloves, and just the level of striking that you see in the kickboxing matches, and then just even with the grappling, man, Musumeci's coming up, but watching his grappling match against Imanari, like, you literally saw the torch passing from one generation to the next there, because Imanari was that game changer of my generation, right? Like, the whole Imanari roll and the leg locking, like nobody had ever seen anything like that before. And so to see what Musumeci did to him, it just shows that grappling has kind of gone a completely different direction at this point, and you need to be able to stay up with the game. So we've done an amazing job, like choosing these grappling matches. So I look for this one with Mikey and Clever to be another exciting one. Like, I really thought when we talked about this, they would be like snooze fests or something, but man, it just, the athletes in the organization just continues to keep delivering.
You're spot on, man. And I love it, man. I was kind of the same way, to be honest with you. I wasn't sure, like, wait, we're going to have all these different disciplines. But now, to be honest, I think every show should do that, man. We get to see the highest level grapplers in the world. We get the highest level strikers in the world. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
You remember when you used to watch like the old Pride events, right? Like, you had those really long matches. Like, there was Sakuraba had some hour and a half matches, and they mixed some pro wrestling matches in there as well, which obviously is not the same thing, but it kind of brings the nostalgia of that era back a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, Rich, I want to talk about some other things outside of this, but I did want to say one thing. Just fight fan to fight fan, picking out little nuggets on the card. Anissa Mexon on the prelims. Can I just if people haven't seen her fight, can I just say tune into the prelims just to watch her? How good is she?
Dude, that girl, man. Oh, she's a thing to watch. That's like watching art in motion. No joke. Like from the first time I saw her just warming up on the pads, I was like, wow, this girl is on a completely different level. But honestly, I think that's why they put Anissa on the prelims, because that's what's going to pull people into the prelims into the lead card.
I agree. She is phenomenal. All right, Rich, I mean, big weekend, but I did want to talk about kind of some other things that are going on. You guys had a huge announcement. ONE Lumpini next year, 52 shows. You guys are doing weekly shows in Thailand next year. I mean, massive undertaking, as if you already weren't doing enough. But, I mean, what a cool thing, because, I mean, that's one of the legendary stadiums of Muay Thai, and you guys are going in there and doing shows. Talk to me about this, Rich.
Have you been to Lumpini?
No, I want to go.
Okay.
It's a long story, I'll tell you someday, but Muay Thai is what got me into mixed martial arts in the early 90s. The first time I saw Muay Thai on tape, it was actually at Guy Mesger's gym in Dallas, and I was watching tape from Muay Thai, and the music is playing, and
because it's live. They play it live on the instruments there.
It's unbelievable. It drew me in, and that is kind of what got me into mixed martial arts to begin with. But so I still need to make the journey to Thailand. It's going to be like a pilgrimage for me one day,
dude. So I watched the fights in the original Lumpini Stadium. Of course, that Lumpini Stadium was torn down. They built a new Lumpini Stadium,
right?
And still just the same feeling once you go into that arena. The live music is there, and when you're in traditional Thai in that environment, watching in Lumpini, like you see all the betting that's going on and everything. There's just an energy about that crowd in that stadium. And so, yeah, we're coming into Thailand now. We're doing these events 1 week. Honestly, I'm like this organization sometimes when they're like, this is what we're going to do. We're gonna add Muay Thai matches to MMA cards. Like this is just not like, who does this? And then now we're going to do this once a week. On top of, obviously, we're simultaneously looking at our U.S. expansion. And so we have that on the horizon for 2023 as well. So this definitely is a lot of work for the company. I'll just say this. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be at all 52 of those events next year.
Don't speak too soon, Rich. You don't know.
Shut it, because the next thing I know, I'm going to find myself living in Bangkok.
I love that. Is amazing, right? They're like, hey, we're thinking about doing Muay Thai shows. How about every week? How about we just do every single week?
Yeah, because that's easy, right? But that's my whole point. I make joke about it, but we'll get it done, man. And so when you look at the level of Muay Thai that we have on the ONE Championship cards, and being able to run this type of event in Lumpini Stadium once a week, it's going to produce even more and better talent for us on the big stage anyway. And so, yeah, this is going to be exciting events every week, man.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Can't wait. And you touched on the U.S. debut as well. I talked to Buchecha earlier this week. He was saying, hey, man, I know they're coming. I want to meet on that card. I mean, everybody wants to be on that card, I'm sure. But give us the update. I mean, how close is this to happening? We know it's been talked about for a while. I mean, how soon is this potentially becoming a reality?
Yeah, I was on a call last night about this, and I can't give any locations or dates yet, whatever. But yeah, we're looking at our first event being Q2 of next year. And we discussed some possible dates and a couple possible locations that we're kind of honing in on. So yeah, looking at that, and then somewhere between 2 and 4 events will be before the end of the year. But this, I'll just say this, like internally, we keep talking like we're doing this. And like last night was that first call that I had where I'm like, finally, like these wheels are really, really turning in motion, because I came back from Singapore and relocated back to the U.S. particularly for this endeavor a little over a year ago now. And so obviously the way that the pandemic was handled on the other side of the planet slowed things down for us geopolitically. What has gone on with everything around the world kind of slowed things down. And so I'm sitting here going like, guys, like twiddling these thumbs, like, come on, man, let's get moving. And so, yeah, last night we finally had one of those calls where it's like, okay, here's our possible dates. Here's our possible locations. And so that actually, lit a little fire underneath me and excited me quite a bit. So yeah, that Q2 is where we're looking at next year, and I'm excited to be on ground. There's no talk yet of who would headline or any of that kind of stuff. Like we're still months away from that, but yeah, it's in motion, man.
I love it, man. I can't wait to see that. So, yeah. Rich, man, I know you got a lot going on. I mean, you're just talking about that. I'm tired just talking about all the stuff you got to do, man. So I know you got a lot going on. Last thing I'll leave with, Rich, it's a big weekend. I mean, is it the trilogy you're most looking forward to? What's the one thing that you're most excited? Rich Franklin is most excited about on this, whether it be 1/161, whether it be Prime Video 2, the moment that you can't wait for.
I mean, the trilogy's the easy pick here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what, man. If I'm going to pick a dark horse on this card as far as entertainment value, I would say either the Martin Nguyen Freemanov fight or this one with Nastjukin and Halil Amir. I think these two are definitely going to be ones that are like, oh man, and you know, Nastjukin is coming right out of the gate, like that's the first fight. So when you're tuning in, I would make sure you're on time because it's going to start with some fireworks.
I love it, man. Rich Franklin, like I said, I don't need any excuse to catch up with you, man. Always a pleasure, but another big weekend for ONE Championship. I appreciate the time as always, my man.
Always good chatting with you, brother, man.